Most grapplers will go through a period of their jiu-jitsu career having an absolute nightmare with tennis or golfer's elbow or both in one arm or in both arms. And it's very confusing. It's very demoralizing and it's very, very fucking painful. It massively affects our ability to grapple effectively on the mats, our ability to hold somebody off with our frames, changes our game completely, and even affects our quality of life off the mat as well. And what happens next in these moments when these issues start coming on is so important. And what I've seen, most grapplers, and I was including myself, we start to go down paths that we shouldn't go down because the solution is actually pretty simple. Blokes are going to start taking growth hormone, peptide, steroids, getting stem cell surgery, when all they need to do is make a few changes in their life and it'll be sorted, right? A little bit of a story about me. I'll go on to the next slide. Tell you what I'm going to cover today before I even go on to my story. Right, what I'm going to cover today is mindset and principles around injuries in general and, fully owning up to the fact that you've got this issue and you deserve to have this issue because you've probably neglected your strength training. We'll talk more about that in a sec. What not to do when you're pain free, because I'm going to show you the exercises to get pain free, right? And I'm going to show you the 3 exercises. I've actually got 4 loaded up from my YouTube channel. Anyway, a little bit of a story about myself first. This was fucking brutal, by the way. Jiu-jitsu is that complex. It'll pull your elbows go 2 ways. 1 way and 2 ways, right? Flexion and extension. Hinge joint, like a door. Opens and closes. But the complexities of jiu-jitsu will pull your elbows left, right, diagonal, twist, twist. All of these random forces are going to go through your elbow, right? And these little fucking muscles and ligaments are like, what the fucking hell's going on here? Particularly in periods where you're doing spider guard and, grippy gi exchanges, maybe a series, your gym coach is doing a series of, lapel, fuckery, whatever you want to call it. But it's them periods that start to bring on these symptoms, right? And knowing how to manage them is so important because at the end of the day, we don't want these issues. Because if these issues get worse, golfer's tennis elbow arthritis, your elbows are constantly fucked. Can't fully extend or bend your elbow. Could you do more in the early phases? Could you change your life a little bit to make sure this actually never happens? Probably yes, right? So, a little bit of a story about me. I had this issue. People laying on my frames was that bad. It was like 8 or 9 out of 10 pain. I literally was that. It affected my army career. And I was thinking, holy shit, I might actually get kicked out of the army because my elbows are that injured. I might need surgery. So I was thinking, what can I possibly do in order to get rid of this as quickly as possible? And every one of you will think the same thing when you've got this issue. So I started researching peptides. I started doing all this stuff. When in reality, I started taking peptides and I started stabbing myself in the arm with a needle and stuff like that to try and get rid of this pain that I had in my elbow. It didn't work. Because I still ate like shit. I still played computer games till the early hours of the morning. What the fuck are peptides going to do if I'm only getting 4 hours sleep? And this is most of yous as well. So we're going to talk about the mindset and the principles which underlie, which are the foundation. Not stem cells. Because again, if you get stem cells, if you pay for surgery, what happens when your knee goes? You're going to have the same mentality, the same creature living, the same way of problem solving that you always have done. And it ended up just being a roller coaster. Whereas with me, I used it as a reality check. And I was like, hold on a minute. I have fucking made some massive I need to make some massive changes here. Right, we're going to talk about that. Reason I'm qualified to talk about this is, I'm a former British paratrooper, Special Forces spoke about. I've trained thousands of elite soldiers, hundreds with injuries, even though my job mainly in the gym when I was a PTI was to reduce their injuries by developing their strength and improving their resilience. But nowadays I've left the army and I am full-time head coach of the longevity program, in which I predominantly coach grapplers, right? grapplers that have multiple different joint injuries going on at the same time. And the solution is never avoid these issues. The solution is fucking heading directly to these issues. Don't bury your head in the sand. I'm also a purple belt with 7 years grappling experience. There's me trying to absorb the legendary John Danaher, and there's me daydreaming as I'm looking pretty. Right. One thing that I love talking about on this channel is the creature mindset. The creature mindset is somebody that avoids training an injured area. The creature mindset is somebody that blames other people for the result of their body. They blame genetics, they blame age. They're constantly in survival mode. They are fixed mindset. They just say, it is what it is. I will take medication for my life. Let me tell you something about medication. You take painkillers, over-the-counter painkillers, hoping the pain goes away, but you haven't actually addressed the problem. You've just covered up the pain. The injury gets worse. You take stronger painkillers. The injury gets worse. You take stronger painkillers. Now the painkillers start to become ridiculously addictive, by the way. Injury gets worse. Now it's arthritis. Now it's chronic arthritis. The painkillers need to be upped. You're now taking the strongest painkillers that you're now addicted to, all because you couldn't be asked to solve the problem properly. And listen, I can give you a little bit of empathy here. I can give you a little bit of sympathy because society has programmed you to do this, to enter these realms of, endless medication instead of going to the gym and solving these problems yourself. Right. It literally comes down to an unwillingness to look in the mirror and blame yourself for your current situation. Your elbows are fucked. It's your fault because you've probably neglected your strength training, which most grapplers do because jiu-jitsu is too much fun. It's very easy to choose on a Wednesday evening, let's not do weights, let's do jiu-jitsu. Very easy. We lower our personal standards because we are now grapplers. It doesn't matter about our athleticism, our health, our performance, our energy levels. It doesn't matter about our sleep. Because I'm hard as fuck. I can still wrap people, just listen, right? Amateur mentality, dopamine mentality. Doesn't strength train off the mats, right? But complains about how their joints are in absolute shit state. Like, I love this. Doesn't buy a ticket, doesn't win the raffle. How many people do you know that say, if I won the lottery, I would buy X, Y, and Z? But they don't ever buy a ticket to actually try. They don't actually buy a ticket to the lottery fantasy in which they talk about winning. You don't win by not buying a ticket. So, same thing. Don't moan about strength training and don't moan about your joints until you've actually tried to strengthen them properly. The 1.0 grappler, the creature, is absolutely infatuated with jiu-jitsu, and I am as well, right? However, I allow jiu-jitsu to be my emotional purge. I fucking love it, and I want it to remain in my life for the rest of my life. However, it's not the only physical exercise that I do because I know that jiu-jitsu absolutely destroys my body. It's great for my mind, but it destroys my body. And I make sure that I'm strengthening my muscles and joints so that I can continue to do jiu-jitsu for as long as possible to the highest possible standard. The creature mindset person doesn't do that. They go, I'm doing jiu-jitsu, so everything's good. I don't have the time to do anything else because life, I'm too old. It just is what it is. I've given up. Listen. The creature will tell you, the creature mindset that you are listening to every day will tell you that being pain-free is the end goal. Not taking this as a learning point for development or growth. Doing anything to get pain-free. Endless amounts of medication, painkillers, ice baths, acupuncture, so-called specialists. Anything to avoid discomfort, development, strength, improving your physical capabilities, dross. But But the thing is, this is a choice to listen to this creature. So, fundamentally what I'm saying is you've got golfer's or tennis elbow. You fully deserve it. It's not random. You deserve it because you've neglected yourself. You have lowered your personal standards to a point where you have become extremely vulnerable of this issue, and it's happened, and you've probably indulged in some of the wrong methods to getting this sorted, right? So what I mean by you fully deserve to be, your thoughts, your beliefs, and how you have problem solved up until this point has got you in your current situation, and your elbows are fucked. So what I always say is, can we use this as a learning point to raise our personal standards? This is what we do in our longevity program. Can we use an elbow injury as a way and a catalyst to increase our personal standards that not only transforms the strength and health of our elbows, but our knees as well, our shoulders and our lower back? Can we not use this weakness as a way and a catalyst to strengthen all of our joints? Does that make sense? If that is something that you're interested in, the link's in the description to book onto a call with me. We'll have a conversation to see if you're a good fit for the program. The upgraded version of you, the 2.0 mindset, the elite mindset, because you are elite if you believe that you are elite. You are a creature if you think like a creature. The problem is, it's very easy to think like a creature. However, the adverse effects of living like a creature are endless injury cycles, poor energy, inconsistent performances, poor recovery rates, poor sleep, poor relationships. Also, your family will start to live like a creatures as well, because you are a role model. You are the leader. You're either a positive or a negative role model. They will use the same excuses as you. Awful. It's awful business. The beauty of this is just a simple reframe. My elbows are weak. How do I strengthen them? Are any other joints? Is this a pattern in my life in which I've neglected other joints as well? Answers mostly usually yes. Am I sleeping okay? Am I eating enough nutrient-dense foods to recover? Am I overdoing it? Uses this issue as a developmental opportunity. So, remember this, right? This is very important, because this is where people on my program, I sometimes get people that jump on for 3 months. They get pain-free. They sail off into the sunset. And they probably fall back into old habits. More injuries, more problems. And I always say this, however, if they don't believe it, I can't do anything else as a coach. Pain-free is not the goal, right? Pain-free is just... Basically, the reason pain-free is not a goal is because the pain was never the actual problem. The pain was just a response to the underlying problem. So solving the pain, you don't solve the problem. So if you come to me as your coach to try and get you pain-free, yes, I can do that. But just because you're pain-free doesn't mean this injury isn't going to come back. You need to get strong. You need to build resilience. You need to use this as an opportunity to develop all the strength in all the rest of the joints. Do you know what I mean? The pain is not the problem. It's just a response to the problem. And I always see this. Within the first 4 weeks of my program, right? When they get pain-free, they act like children. I call it, honestly, it's funny. It's funny, but I have to calm people down, because they get pain-free really quickly when they do it right. When they make these lifestyle changes and they train properly, it's great. It is great. However, it's not over then. It's the start point. It's not the end point, it's the start point. Now you can start strength training properly because you're pain-free. It's not the end goal. But society has programmed you that pain is the problem. No. The problem is a joint that is weak. And then you go back to grappling like a crazy lunatic, then the injury happens again. This is true, right? Being pain-free is the most risky part of rehab, because this is where the craziness starts to come into your brain. Oh my God, that worked so well, so quickly. No. Calm yourself down. Yes, you're pain free, but who cares about that? Let's use that now to get fucking strong as fuck so this issue doesn't come back. Hopefully you appreciate why I'm highlighting this point so important before I even get to the exercises, by the way. Told you why it happens earlier on. Gripping exchanges, pulling your elbows in left and right directions, twisting, pulling, pushing, all kinds of weirdness going through a hinge joint, which isn't really meant to go that way. Puts a lot of external stress, puts a lot of shearing force, as it's called, through the knee, right, which is sideways forces. A lot of, like, see your elbows like this, there's a lot of like little microscopic left and right, just a lot of weird stress, right? And the only way you can do it, can't counteract that, is by getting some great quality strength training in. Yes, lateral, the technical term for it is lateral and medial epicondyle, opathy or itis. 3 exercises. The first 2, to be fair, these exercises will get you pain free. Simple as that, right? Simple as that. And they're isometric exercises, which means you hold the same position for 30 to 45 seconds. And because they're isometric exercises, they don't damage the muscle fibers, they don't cause damage to the ligaments. You can do them a lot, right? 5 to 10 sets per day. Get them in. Honestly, you will be pain-free very quickly. Think about this. The previous version of yourself, the creature mentality that has infected your brain, that is running, keeping you in survival mode, will be telling you to avoid this. Your hormones, at the thought of doing these exercises, this amount will be your survival brain. No, it's going to cause pain. The doctor said rest. Fuck off. I want you to thrive. These people want you just to survive. There's a clear difference in goals here. Right. So we've got isometric supination, pronation exercises, elbow at 90 degrees. I'll show you anyway. Press pause. I'll get the exercises up. So as you can see, we've got an angry, hairy, strong, robust, bald guy. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Doing some exercises. I'll let him play his stuff. Make sure you take a grip that is off-centre, forcing the inside of your elbow to stabilise this way. Keep the bar horizontal and your elbow near to your body. That's the golfer's elbow one. Make sure you take a grip that is off-centre. So the tennis elbow variation would be palm down. Make sure you take a grip that is off-centre with your working arm palm down. Keep the bar horizontal and your elbow close to your torso. So there you've got the golfers and the tennis elbow. Elbow at 90 degrees. Take an off-centre grip with your palm facing down. Try and keep the weight completely horizontal, and this time your elbow slightly in front of your torso. The golfer's elbow would be palm up, and you can start to see how this sequence plays out. Take an off-centre grip with your palm facing inwards. Slowly control and rotate your arm until your palm is facing slightly out. Use your opposite arm to push the weight up, because you are just focusing on the smooth, controlled lowering of this movement. So I've given you an extra one there. That's called eccentric. That's where we focus on the slow, controlled lowering of the movement. However, before you get to that point, what I want you to do is fully extend the elbow. So you've got the full extension off centre with the palm up if it's golfers, palm down if it's tennis, and you'll feel that. Have a play around with it. What really works well is you're using a bar that is fairly weighted, or you can use a hammer. You can use a hammer in the house, a sledgehammer. You can also use a brush, a broom. Depending on severity, will dictate your start point with regards to the weight. So hopefully you appreciate that. Get the slides back up. So yeah, just to recap, you've got 3 stages of isometrics: elbow 90 degrees, elbow slightly extended, and elbow fully extended. Palm up, golfer's elbow; palm down, tennis elbow, or vice versa. I might have got myself mixed up there, right? And you've got 30 to 45 second holds. Your stopwatch is out. You're looking at your stopwatch, smashing it. Do both sides so you can understand the difference between the one that feels good and the one that feels bad. Also, beast yourself on this. Do like 3 sets one time, and then a few hours later do another 3 sets, then do another 3 sets. This will alleviate pain so fast. And you might think them exercises are that boring you don't want to do them. Trust me, you will be sorted within a few weeks. It'll be gone. I swear God, it'll be gone, right? The problem is you won't stick to them for long enough, and that is the survival creature mindset. Be consistent, get it smashed out, then use it to further progress the strength of your elbows. Don't skip to the exercises. Like, don't skip to the fancy. Don't try this one straight away. Build yourself into it nicely. You've got, with a pole, right, you have got such variation because you can hold it closer to the center line to make it easier. You can hold it closer to the outside to make it more strenuous. So you don't need to actually add weight. It provides a really unique type of stress. You'll feel it straight away if you've got these issues. And what I need you to understand is feeling the pain come on when you're doing a certain exercise is a huge positive because you're controlling it. Control the controllables. You're controlling the intensity. You're controlling the time of the set. You're doing it right. You're getting blood and nutrients to an area that normally would have fairly low blood flow. So you're just basically trying to counteract all that craziness of jiu-jitsu, all that gripping exchanges, gi stuff, spider guard, all of that. Don't stop when you are pain-free. As much as you're like, oh, I'm fixed, I'm sorted. You're not fixed. It's highlighted that you were weak, and you're not all of a sudden weak after 3 weeks. You mentalist. Use this as an opportunity to integrate strength training into your DNA. It is not a luxury. It is a non-negotiable. And all of the stuff that I've talked about with regard to mindset, way more valuable than the exercises themselves. Trust me, you probably looked at them exercises and thought about scrolling on to next exercises. Listen, the reason you are in this situation is because you've let your personal standards slip. And that is the first thing that we work on the longevity program. We basically take your current beliefs, how you currently think, how you currently solve problems, and recreate the 2.0 version of you, the elite version of you. From there, we align the system, the tactics, the nutrition, and then we work with you throughout the whole process. Unlimited movement feedback, unlimited support pretty much, within reason. Anyway, that's it from me, gentlemen. If you appreciate the video, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you tomorrow.